In this video, we're going to look at the effects page. Now, I've got the send effects turned off. There's our delay send and our reverb send, so we're going to ignore those for the moment. And I've turned off the sample engine, and I've got a granular preset loaded in, and I've adjusted the parameters the way I like. And here's a little part I've done up with a drum groove. So it's scanning through with lots of jitter and free mode. So lots of nice variety to the grains that are being generated. Now, on the effects page, we have the grain effects chain over here and the sample engine effects chain over here. So we're going to work with this one for now. So we have 4 slots and we have up to 9 effects. And the idea is that we select the slot and then we choose what we want in it. For example, in this first slot, I'll choose filter. And now the parameters update for what I have selected. And if I want to change this, I can click this to bring the menu back up. Maybe I want EQ in that first slot. I'm going to go back and put filter in there, and then I can easily drag and drop as well by just dragging the order like that. But for now, let's put the filter at the top. We have a bypass button over there, and we have stepper buttons to go through the different effect references. So this says filter, but I can click here and we get all different kinds of filters. So let me click there again, and I'm going to go to modulation instead. I changed my mind. And depending which effect reference I have here, some of these might update and change. Like, for example, if I go to rotator, this becomes a balance control. So maybe I want to assign this wet control to the Y-axis. I'm going to click here and set it to Y and dial up some depth. And then I'm going to lower the basic value. And then when I move it, when I move the puck, that is, we'll see the little momentary value increasing. That's one example. Now let's go to the second slot and I can choose something else. Maybe I can even choose another modulation plugin if I want to, but let me go to utility and I want to choose width here. This is great for widening the signal. So same thing, I'm going to assign this to the Y pad and set it fairly low and dial that up. So as I move this up, it's going to widen the signal at the same time that it's increasing the rotor effect. So just an idea of how we can do that. And let's say this is assigned to the X axis. Let me move that there and dial up some modulation, and I can pan. Actually, let me set it more to the middle to start with, maybe. There's different ways of adjusting the range. Now let's go to the third slot, and these are all fairly self-explanatory. I'm not going to go through every effect that we have here. With the EQ, we can go between 3-band and 1-band. We have dynamics, and the different effect references switch between gating and compression and limiting. And we have drive controls with different types of drive and so on. Now, one I do want to look at that's interesting is the gator. So I'm going to call it up in the third slot, and I'm getting this message because I can only use it once, and I've got it called up here in this slot. So let's go back to here, and I'm going to choose none. So now when I go to this third one, I can go back here and call up gator. So this is interesting in that we have different presets. I'll go with the first one to start with. And we have 2 patterns, an A and B pattern, and we use a modulation source to modulate between them. So let's start with A over here, and I'm going to set this to 16th notes. It looks like a step sequencer. We can set the number of steps that we want and the rhythmic value. And we can have different steps silent, and the vertical height determines the level. Now here we have a contextual menu to copy the A to B and so on, morph between them, double the resolution. Like we've seen in the arpeggiator, we use this to offset the steps. To start with silence. So lots of interesting variations like that. I'm going to go back and leave it like that. Now the idea is that with B, we set up a different pattern, and you can see these momentary lines that are showing us the values that are on the A step. Like that, for example, I can go here. And then I can assign the modulator here. The X pad is the default, and that will morph between the two. So as I move this, so I'm not only adjusting the panning from the utility effect, but I'm also morphing between these two patterns. I go higher and I get more of the rotor effect. And we can change the order around. Let's say I want to try the gator at the top. So really fun, intuitive, and easy to experiment with the effects. And everything that I just showed you works the same for the sample side. So I'm going to end off here, and we'll continue with more in the next video.